Infect in the hands of Todd Anderson, undefeated today. It has been dominant on camera, to say the least. Don't think we have seen the deck lose yet.
Sounds right.
Yeah. But Ian has won the die roll. He starts to play with a turn 1 Noble Hierarch.
See what kind of land he finds here. Todd might be thinking this is a mirror match.
In the 5-0 bracket, I wouldn't be surprised. Temple Garden is the land he gets. That one, there's none of those in Infect, so Todd may now be thinking Naya, Bant, something like that.
Right. This looks a lot like perhaps Bant Eldrazi from the way that this is starting.
Sure, yeah. That's probably actually the most likely candidate.
I am putting Todd on putting Ian on Bant Eldrazi.
Well, Todd plays his own Noble Hierarch. If he does, though, it's only going to last for about 1 turn here. Ian looking for a follow-up play. Will play Flooded Strand.
I imagine at this point we will see a non-Eldrazi looking spell.
Basic Island. I'm not sure. I don't think Bant plays that one.
Reflector Mage would be pretty spicy here.
That'd be great.
It's one thing we didn't see or haven't seen during the course in Standard.
Yes.
Little turn 2 Reflector Mage.
I mean, if there were 4 birds and 4 Noble Hierarchs in Bant, Company, and Standard, that would be great.
No, thank you.
Yeah, he reflects it back to Todd's hand. Todd untaps, plays Blighted Agent this time. Ian will have to be on notice. Now, there's not much removal in Ian's hand if Todd just goes all in on this. Ian's deck plays 3 Reflector Mages and 4 Path to Exiles.
Mm-hmm. Blighted Agent is a tough one for these creature-heavy decks to beat for sure.
Yeah, this is the card that Todd will want. So Ian, another land here. It's his 3rd land. It's a copy of Flooded Strand. So sacrifice it. This is 4 mana for the turn. Shocking for a 2nd Temple Garden. Reflector Mage will be able to beat in for 3 this turn. Todd put himself down to 17 from mana. And Ian, while Todd is tapped out, is just going to straight away Path to Exile the Blighted Agent.
That's smart. You do not want to give Todd access to Blossoming Defense.
Knight of the Reliquary for Ian, and an attack for 3 from Reflector Mage.
That's a 4/4 Knight already. And there is a Ghost Quarter in Ian's main deck, so we could have a potential Inkmoth Nexus covered.
Yeah, what Ian's done here is he now, you see, has 6 power in play. He has removed Todd's creature each turn of the game. This is a great start. Todd plays 2 Noble Hierarchs and passes. 1 mana removal plus a clock is a great formula for beating Infect.
Absolutely.
Back to Ian's 5th turn. Make that 4th turn. He'll play another Noble Hierarch. He'll attack with Reflector Mage. It exalts twice up to a 4/5. See if Todd takes it.
And if you're wondering about other utility lands in Ian's deck, it is just the 1 Ghost Quarter, but 2 copies of Gavany Township, which are starting to look pretty strong here with this double Noble Hierarch position.
So Todd takes the 4, goes to 10. Ian plays another Knight of the Reliquary and passes. They're still 4/4s. Keep in mind, Ian can grow them quite a bit here. One of them is not summoning sick. He also could get Horizon Canopy. That's, I guess, a utility land.
Sure, yeah, you can cycle it.
But Todd, no Infectors in play. His hand looks to be Might of Old Krosa, Rancor, Blossoming Defense, and Mutagenic Growth. It's all pump. That is not what he wants to be seeing.
And with the board the way it is, Todd knows that he has to get aggressive somehow.
Rancor and Might of Old Krosa on Noble Hierarch. So it becomes a 6/5, and now will exalt up to an 8/7 here. Todd has exactly enough mana to become Immense It.
Yeah, and Ian is attempting double block with Knight of the Reliquary.
Okay, I like that.
I think I'm more on board with a single block here. Just soak up enough damage to not die.
So it's a 4/4. He's going to, he blocks with the one that can use its ability. So he'll sacrifice the Temple Garden to go get Horizon Canopy. That untapped Noble Hierarch there, that one's summoning 6, so he's not going to be able to use this turn. So Knight goes up to a 5/5 now. Or check that. It is let's see. We'll get a size confirmation on. I think it's actually a 6/6.
Yeah, it looks
Ian's
to be a
fetched every
6/6,
turn.
Yeah.
So Todd's going to go back and mute. We're going to mutagenic growth and blossoming defense. So there was a total, total 8 points a pump is a 10-9, is a 12-11 trample. Ian's creature took in, yeah, we have 3 lands there, so it was a 5. He goes to 8 and loses the knight.
And an attack that big, it makes Ian think twice about attacking on this turn. A top deck Become Immense would be huge for Todd from this point.
Yeah, it's already a 4-power trampler on the attack. Ian will draw off of Horizon Canopy. Plays a land. Now, keep in mind that puts more lands in the graveyard. It's now four lands there. So Knight looks like just going to attack. We have 5 lands total, so it is a 7/7.
2 Exalted triggers to a 9/9. A little bit shy of lethal.
Yeah, that's kind of, it's interesting, right? So Todd could take this. He is at 10.
Well, he can't block it. he can fetch up Dryad Arbor and block it.
So then the question is, Ian could have attacked with Reflector Mage to force that play.
Attacking with Reflector Mage is the same.
Oh,
it just splits up damage.
Because there's 2 Exalted triggers?
Right.
That makes sense. So 2 Exalted, 5 pumps. Yeah, confirming leftovers here. Ian actually at 7.
Now, if Todd fetches and tries to block and Ian has Path to Exile, that's all she wrote.
He does fetch. Does Ian have a removal spell first? No, he does not. Dryad Arbor goes and hits the bin. Todd down to 9. He had to pay 1 mana to fetch there. Only 1 Dryad Arbor in Todd Anderson's list. So you're absolutely right that Path to Exile would have done it. Now we go back to Todd's side. It's got Ian at 7. Plays Gitaxian Probe using mana. He wants to find a Become Immense, something big. Collected Company in response for Ian Birrell.
So this is interesting. He responds not because he cares if Todd sees Collected Company, but if you find Spell Queller,
he wants to get it.
That can hit Gitaxian Probe. It could not hit a Become Immense off the top.
No Spell Queller, but he does find Voice of Resurgence, and really more importantly, Knight of the Reliquary. So he has a huge blocker now. It's unlikely that Todd can make that trampling creature big enough.
And it will not be difficult for Ian to assemble lethal from here.
No, Todd scoops it up. So game 1 goes to Ian Birrell and Bant Company.
Didn't think you'd be saying that in Modern this weekend, did you?
Well, this was interesting. We were talking between rounds with some players and asked why Abzan Company. I mean, that's a deck that's just fallen off the map in the last 6 months. And I said, if Infect is so good right now, why aren't people playing Abzan Company? And one of their answers I heard, well, there's a lot of graveyard hate right now. And so the idea that a Collected Company deck could beat Infect, I understand that. Bant doesn't use the graveyard.
Yeah, just casting good, honest creatures. Knight of the Reliquary, I was just putting in a day's work. Attacking, blocking, fetching up some lands, but nothing degenerate.
All right, so we're going to go over to the sideboards here between games. Looking at Todd Anderson's side, he's now down a game. He's got 3 Nature's Claims, 2 Twisted Image, 3 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Spell Pierce, 2 Spell Skite, a Viridian Corruptor, a Pithing Needle, and a Necropede.
So the only cards I'm especially interested in are the Grafdigger's Cage to shut off Collected Company. That's a reasonable card to have in a matchup like this. There's a small argument for Spell Pierce, but I think you just pick one or the other. The Spell Pierce, you can actually just catch all their 4 mana if they're not able to pay for it when they cast a Collected Company, so that actually might be better. Potentially, you could tag a Path to Exile with the Spell Pierce in the right circumstances. On the play, that's a lot more inviting. So those are kind of the 2 cards that he's looking at here.
Yeah, do you like anything like Necropede to up your creature count?
He could bring it in. It's not exciting. It's just another thing, I guess.
Cage is good against Company and nothing else.
Yep. You have to figure if your opponent's casting Collected Company, they're casting 4 of them, and it's the best card in their deck, which I think is a good enough argument to bring in at least 1 Cage.
Fair enough. So Todd, a light side, but we'll see if we can get the second game. Over on StarCityGames.com, we've been running our weekly sales all summer long. What this is we have a different thing on sale from the website every week. So this week, the weekly sale has been Saving on select standard singles, Kaladesh booster boxes, and Kaladesh bundles, or fat packs as you might know them by, the one in the left there. Those are still on sale all weekend, but it's going to run out on Monday at 10:59 when we switch to another sale next week. So if you want to get your hands on some sealed product, and looking at the open this weekend, Kaladesh has a lot of great stuff in it. Head on over to StarCityGames.com, but make sure you get to do it this weekend.
Yep, ends Monday.
Or check back Monday, see what we have next week.
Sure.
All right, looking at Ian Birrell's sideboards. He's still going through it here. Now, the Bant Company deck, I like a lot of stuff he has here. So mostly one-ups. He's got 2 Supreme Verdict, a Selfless Spirit, that would be his 4th. The other 3 are in the main. A Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, that's the 2-1. A Tectonic Edge, 2 Katakis, 1 Dispel, 2 Kitchen Finks, a Geist of St. Traft, a Dismember, an Eidolon of Redrick, and a Bazooka Bog.
There's a lot of cards here that are reasonable. There's a couple of big hits. So the Spellskite, 100% this card is great in a matchup like this.
Sure.
The Dispel, just cheap interaction. When you don't have that many removal spells, this spell kind of matters a lot. The Dismember, great, 1-for-1 removal spell. Then you get into some questionable ones. Do you want Supreme Verdict? You can clean up all their Noble Hierarchs. I don't think you really do. It's okay. I could see one being cast in this matchup. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, totally reasonable.
In fact, has a lot of 0 and 1 mana instants.
Yep, I could see this one coming in. It's not phenomenal. I'm not going to keep a 7-card hand because it has Thalia, but it's reasonable to have here.
Todd's best draws are frequently things like Distortion Strike, Mutagenic Growth, Become Immense, Kill You.
Yes.
Doing that with a Thalia in play is not really a starter.
Really slows you down. Really slows you down.
Looks like both players going to head down to 6 cards. Todd is on the play for the second game. Yeah, you see Todd Anderson, 11th right now in the 2016 standings. He has not gotten his ticket yet to the Players' Championship. He was the runner-up just last year. Now, the 3-time invitational from Roanoke, Virginia, he's 30. The most storied player really on the tour, 29 open top 8s, 6 wins. Last year he had the highest win percentage of any player on the tour. Would be surprising if he does not make it to the Players' Championship this year. Now, granted, there are only 7 slots left, and those slots are getting hard to find.
Yes, he has to have a couple good weekends here. There's just this open and 3 others before the Season 3 Invitational. Off to a great start this weekend, though.
All right. Both players have kept on 6. For Todd, it's a turn 1 Glistener Elf, doing it off of Breeding Pool. Last game, both players started by trading Noble Hierarchs. This time, Todd has a more aggressive approach. It's an Infector right away. For Ian, though, it's a mana creature. Noble Hierarchs the play. He's pretty interested in skipping from 1 to 3, his deck playing 4 Noble Hierarchs and 4 Birds of Paradise.
Spell Queller, Knight of the Reliquary, Reflector Mage. A lot of pressure on having these 1-mana creatures.
Back over to Todd Anderson. Draw was Inkmoth Nexus. You see Rancor, Twisted Image. Yeah, he'll Twisted Image away the Noble Hierarch. That's pretty sweet.
Yes.
Swings in for 1 poison. His only green source there was Dryad Arbor as he plays it and passes. Ideally, I think he would have Rancored the Elf.
Yes. This is a problem that happens when you put Dryad Arbor in your deck. You don't really ever want to draw it as your mana source. But the value that it's added by having it in your deck with fetch lands, it's too big to pass up on.
For Ian, Birds of Paradise and Flooded Strand is the play. We go back to Todd's 3rd turn. Has a choice between lands, quickly goes for the basic forest. He will Rancor up the Glistener Elf and swing. It's a 3-power Trampler. He did have Vines with Kicker available that turn. He could have put Ian all the way up to 8 poison, but he goes for Blighted Agent instead. So right now, Ian at 4 poison. Todd's so aggressive here.
This would be a juicy board to Supreme Verdict away your own Birds of Paradise. I'm just throwing that out there.
You're right. That would... Todd has an Inkmoth in hand. He wouldn't just lose.
Right.
And a Rancor, you know. His draw's really shaping up, but yeah, I agree. I think that'd be a great play. Horizon Canopy and pass for Ian Birrell. Strongly hinting of Collected Company.
Oh, yeah.
Inkmoth for Todd.
I assume Todd's going to be able to sniff this one out.
All right, here's a swing. It's for 4 poison. 3 off the Elf, 1 off the Agent.
And Todd's really okay with having his Glistener Elf blocked and just moving the Rancor over to the Blighted Agent. just no reason not to make this attack. You're just hoping that a Reflector Mage doesn't bounce your Blighted Agent.
I mean, Ian's probably dead. If he hits a Reflector Mage, Todd is going to Vines with Kicker in response and then kill him.
That's pretty bad news.
And he doesn't hit the Reflector Mage. He hits Selfless Spirit. I think Todd's going to kill him now.
Yeah, looks promising for Todd.
Blocks, Vines with Kicker, game 3. I like Todd's line there because the moment Ian taps out for Collected Company, the game's probably just over.
Yes.
I don't know. Are there even 2 creatures? It would be really hard. He'd have to get...
Given the way that you have to trigger both of your ETB effects if you double Reflector Mage at the same time, and you can just like Vines through that anyway, I guess you force Todd to Vines, and then you double block with Reflector Mages, and you buy a little bit of time.
There's still that Ink Moth. I mean, he doesn't necessarily lose, but he basically loses.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff from Todd Anderson.
Now, if Ian had, Path Dismember.
What really felt to me as the play that made the game, though, was the Twisted Image on Noble Hierarch.
Yes, yeah, that was phenomenal. The way that the Collected Company hit, it wasn't going to make a difference in this game anyway.
Yeah.
But accelerating that by a turn or 2 would have been significant, theoretically.
Yeah, Todd just leveraged the mana advantage and evens things up there. If that's the case, let's look back at Ian Birrell's sideboard for a second. Something like Spellskite, when you already have 4 birds, 4 hierarchs, Todd's maxing out on Twisted Images.
Sure. Yeah, the Spellskite
Do you go off of Spellskite?
I don't think you can. You just have to. You can't go off of the birds and the nobles.
No, that's your whole deck.
Exactly. And if Todd's hitting your mana creature, then how many Twisted Images is he going to draw? You just want to tax those as much as possible and hope the Spellskite's the creature that is just still around when the dust settles.
It's one of those phenomenal parts about Infect that post-board against a 30 creature deck, Todd just gets to sideboard up to 3 copies of Terminate Draw card for 1 mana. So Ian starts on a Misty Rainforest.
I can't even think of a card that's an analog to, because that's so unreasonable.
So right. Todd's first land was Dryad Arbor here.
Yeah.
He kept the 7, though.
I think that he has 2 other lands. So it's likely that he has some creatures and some defensive pump spells, say Blossoming Defense, Vines of Vastwood. He doesn't want to cast creatures on turn 1 or 2 anyway, so you may as well lead with your slow mana source.
Ian starts on just 2 lands. I suppose if Ian had played a turn 1 mana creature, it would have been much scarier for Todd because Ian then could have just Reflector Maged it.
Yes.
Cataxian Probe will show Ian's hand. He has Reflector Mage, Spell Queller, land 3, land 4, and 2 Path to Exiles. Pretty good formula if you want to go ahead beat up on Infect.
Yeah, this is a very strong hand. You'll be able to path something this turn, maybe even cast both if Todd fights over it. Then you just have Spell Queller up. Suddenly, Todd's best threat is looking like Ink Moth Nexus. You can start to play around these things a little bit more.
Gavany Township was one of the 2 lands in Ian's hand. That one could come up eventually.
It's a little bit worse in these hands that don't have any mana creatures, but it is still a very powerful land.
So Todd has drawn a card off Probe. You look at his hand, he's got Rancor, another Probe, 2 lands, Blighted Agent, Twisted Image. He's going to fire off the Probe again. Hoping to maybe find a Hierarch or a pump spell of some sort.
And Todd has already seen enough stuff that he has to respect with his play. That's sitting on the Gitaxian Probe, not super significant here. Ian has several turns worth of interaction.
So after all that, Todd fetches down to 13. He decides on Blighted Agent for his turn 2 play. We're going to see if Ian paths it here on end step.
I find it very likely.
Yeah, he's got 2 Path to Exiles in his hand. Well, he also just can untap and cast Reflector Mage. So he's got that option instead.
I think cleanly, permanently dealing with the threat, well, looks like he's going for the Reflector Mage. I would have been inclined to cast the Path, though you do give Todd a mana advantage.
Right.
Give him more outs to play around the spells that he knows about.
So yeah, Ian will go Island Reflector Mage. Back in Todd's head. Todd's head just kind of swelling up with cards here.
Todd's
Still has
been
7.
Catching a lot of lands, though.
Viridian Corruptor, the play for Todd. No artifacts, but it is a 2/2 and Infector. And you see some priority there on mana efficiency from Todd. Sure, it doesn't attack through this 2/3.
Yep, he won't be able to save it from a Path to Exile, but just got to do something. You got to run these paths out somehow. And the Blighted Agent is the better creature on the table. If this gets pathed, that's fine. You get another mana source.
Ian plays a 4th land. He's going to go ahead and path the Corruptor while Todd's tapped down. He swings for 2.
Though notably, Todd's at kind of a precarious life total already.
Yeah, that hit puts Todd down to 10. He has done, it's 2 damage off the Mage, 4 off probes, 2 off fetch lands, and 2 off a shock land. So Todd's done 8 to himself here. Ian leaving up that copy of Spell Queller both players know about, passes the turn.
And Spell Queller is a very difficult card for Todd to interact with. He really just has to give Ian a card for it.
Todd keeps hitting lands here. Twisted Image, Blighted Agent, Become Immense. Maybe that might be it as far as non-land cards in
The
Todd's
back
hand.
card in his hand looks like a black card.
Okay,
Could be a Dismember. That would be significant in the face of Spell Queller.
that'd be great. I mean, you got to watch out. Right,
His
that
life total, yeah, his life total is in trouble, but that is a spell that I think he needs to win this game in time.
Yeah, and it is a Dismember. You're absolutely right. There's this clock, though, right? If Ian draws Collected Company, it feels like lights out for Todd.
It's not good for Todd.
Blighted Agent is Todd's play. I guess he does still have Become Immense with the Agent. Really a hard one to pull off, though. He has no way to give it hexproof.
Yes.
He knows about both Path and Queller in Ian's hand.
And one of the spells in his hand, aside those 2 more lands he has, is a Twisted Image. That's not going to help him fight any kind of war.
And Ian will quell away the Blighted Agent, and Todd will immediately dismember it. He goes to 6. But that actually feels somewhat like a win for Todd. Especially because he had no way to protect the Agent if Ian just went for a path.
Yeah, this will run Ian out of interaction, and the Dryad Arbor will be able to gain him a couple life getting in front of the Reflector Mage. So Todd needs to draw well from here.
An attack puts Todd down to 4. Ian plays another land. Now, interestingly enough, he has not played the Gavany Township that Todd knows about. So
Todd was representing Blossoming Defense or Vines on that turn, and he didn't have it.
but now he does.
And Ian respected it, and this is bad for Ian.
This was Todd was looking for a draw of either Blossoming Defense or Become Immense here, and he hit. And swing for 1 poison. I like what Ian's doing here. He just says, fine, take it.
Yep.
Todd does not need to go all in on it just yet. But still.
Now the question, does Ian have a Collected Company here?
I mean, it wouldn't have been lethal. It only is 9 poison, the Immense plus defenses.
Right.
So we might see Todd do that next turn.
He really wants to draw another thing like a Mutagenic Growth or another copy of Blossoming Defense.
If it's 2 copies of Blossoming Defense, Ian's just out of luck.
Yes. One thing that is nice about having your removal be Path to Exile, the action is not forced on Become Immense, but the double Blossoming Defense will get you.
Huge play, huge play. Ian's draw for turn was Collected Company.
Wow.
Okay, so here's Reflector Mage from Ian. Now, do you want to fire off the Company main phase here? Because it gets rid of Blossoming Defense. Then the creature won't have hexproof for the turn.
Yeah, if you make Todd play it on his turn, then the defense is going to cover your Path to Exile and your Reflector Mage. You split it up across multiple turns.
Todd fetches down to 1. This is getting very tight. Gonna draw for the turn. He's Twisted Imaging the Reflector Mage on end step, drawing a card. He'd like to find another way to win this spell war that's about to happen.
And there's going to be a lot of pressure in the coming iterations here of this game for Ian to find Reflector Mage or Spell Queller off this Collected Company.
Interestingly, like, if he's boarded in Thalia, there's some reason to try
do it now,
yeah.
yeah. So you force Todd to pay more for the spells.
Oh, and this is great. In response to the Twisted Image, Ian is going for Dismember on the Blighted Agent. And Ian, so his hand is Collected Company, Path, Dismember. I'm not sure Todd was ever going to win this fight.
No, he can cast Become Immense in response, but then you're out of your Become Immense.
Well, and Todd knows about the Path. The 2 cards in his hands are Path and Collected Company. Todd knows about Path. Collected Company is just bad news for Todd Anderson.
Yes, absolutely. He needs to hope for another whiff. Even if Ian just finds Selfless Spirit, that's a lethal flyer.
Todd's being, can he do anything here? No, he's going to just Blossoming Defense. decides he needs to keep Blighted Agent.
He has enough.
It's become immense, actually. Hold on.
Yep, so that'll work to counter the Dismember.
And here's Path, and now Todd Blossoming Defenses. So a big trade of creatures, and now Ian collected companies. Everything in.
All right, Ian, what's on top?
He needs a hit.
Looks like a Reflector Mage.
Spellskite? Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
Mage. All right, sure. Everything's back in Todd's hand. This is really neat. So but if Ian had gone for this on his own turn, do we? No, I guess no, we still don't win. It's closer. So Todd has Dryad Arbor. Yeah, he can't play anything. And there's the concession. Ian Birrell moves up to 6-0 with Bant Company.
When a deck really and truly dominates a standard format, it's a good reason to pay attention to it in Modern. And adding Noble Hierarch and Birds of Paradise to Bant Company, talk about an upgrade. When this deck is so heavy on 3-drops, and we saw there, Spell Queller, Reflector Mage, it's not a lot. In Modern, your 3-mana spells are not generally your best spells against Infect, but given how much mana acceleration he has, the fact that Collected Company can make you kind of Dark Ritual into 6 mana for your 3-mana creatures, it's really impressive to see this deck take down Infect like that.
Yeah, and I do want to say, this is a testament to how good Infect is. If you look at what Ian had to have to win that fight there,